tal? ¿Cómo estás? As we're getting into our next best of 3 and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alcyone, we have the French Terran player representing Team Liquid, looking to be the favorite player in this entire group. Can anyone bring him down? It is Clem. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the best player in all of the Americas, the reigning ESL Masters Winter Americas champion, as well as Summer champion. It is Astrea. For Maturino Esports. Let's go again. In the absence of Neeb, in the ashes of Neeb, since he did retire, did step away from the game, Astrea has risen as the best in the Americas. Time and time again, season after season, he has been that regional champion. Of course, spending a lot of, oh my god, spending a lot of time in Korea this year. Of course, recently returning to the Americas for the holidays with his family. But we do see Clem opening up with a very aggressive style, going for a 2-Rax opener, 2-Rax Reaper at a Clem. Not proxied, bear that in mind, is back at home, but regardless, we're going to be in the face of Astrea. We'll see if Astrea can keep up. And I was not really expecting this, I'll be honest. I was not really expecting Clem to be the first to be aggressive. I was expecting more of that out of Astrea, but a bit of a role reversal. Bit of a role reversal here from Clem. He's going to be going for the CC on the low ground, but Reapers are in production. Clem is looking to try and get some economic damage with this. Going to be building up that Reaper count and getting across the map. Meanwhile, Astrea is going for a standard opener. It's going to be a gate expand into the Cybercore. Everything is looking as it should. Now, unfortunately, Astrea didn't go for a probe scout. That's a pretty big moment right now. Because Astrea didn't go for the probe scout, he is in the dark. He doesn't know how aggressive Clem is going to be here in the early game. So he's not aware that he needs like a safety shield battery, for example, in the mineral line, a prioritization of units. So Astrea won't really see this coming until Clem reveals it. As we're on 2 Reapers, we have a 3rd Reaper coming out and a 4th Reaper on the way as well. Meanwhile, the first scout of Astrea is moving out across the map. It's going to be his Adept, and he is going to run into said Reapers, and Clem should be able to hunt this down. Astrea, he wants to try to trade. He wants to try to pick off at least one of these Reapers, but he will get it. Trading 1 for 1. That's the best case scenario for Astrea. Shutting down one of those Reapers. Behind this, there it is. Shield battery is now on the way. It is a late shield battery, but at least it is in production here. And hopefully finishing up just in time for these Reapers. Stalker in position. And we do see the Reapers ignoring the Stalker, going straight for the mineral line. Did you get one? We get 2 probes. Trying to squeeze into that main base. It looks like we will barely get in. Again, shield battery finishing up after 2 probes go down. And Astrea will clean this up. In the end, 3 Reapers for 4 probes. I'm sure Clem wanted a little bit more damage out of that. Ooh. As behind this, he is getting into a 2-on-1. A little bit different here. More of a TvZ based follow-up, but we have seen this kind of rise in popularity at the start of the year. At the start of 2023. Reaper going to be delaying that 3rd base, is going to be forced away. Bearing in mind that the Reapers didn't just deal economic damage, but they also forced Astrea to stay back at home to take a more defensive position instead. But yeah, straight up 2-1-1. So we should be going for an add-on swap into medevac production, and we are going for a stim timing here from Clem. Astrea needs to get a read on this. He does have the sentry, so we can go for a hallucinated scout in a couple of moments. We should be seeing that. As Astrea, is going for a gateway heavy composition. You don't see this too often. Astrea going double forge. So this should be for a swarm toss style. This should be for blink stalkers as well as charge lots. It should be. We'll see. Basically, instead of going for a faster robotics bay into Colossus production, it should just be mass gateway units instead. Here comes Hallucination. It does get eyes on the 2-1-1. We do get eyes on the researching tech lab as well as the reactor on that starport, so Astrea should be fully aware that drops are on the way. And he does confirm the medevac. And the move out as well. Oh my god. This Phoenix hallucination getting a lot done. Astrea being very proactive. Does rock up. He's going to force the medevacs back home even. As we pick up quite a number of SCVs already. Oh, we do blink back into the army though. Clem set up the trap. Shuts down 3 of those stalkers. Big pickoffs here from the Terran. Behind this Astrea, as we mentioned, going straight into charge. We do have a gateway explosion on the way. Now this is scary. Astrea has been bleeding out some stalkers. And when it comes to this like quote-unquote swarm toss style of going into mass blink stalkers and mass charge lots, you do have to build up your stalkers over time. There we go, more gateways are on the way. Like, we don't have any big power spike with Colossus or Immortals or Disruptors. You need to build up your gateway army, and Astrea has bled out a lot. Here we go, double drop into the main base. Astrea out of position. Shield battery is going to be going down. And we can even delay the upgrades. A bit of an Artosis pylon. Both forges are depowered. We're going for some of these other fringe gateways as well. And Clem, he can just fight this head on. Go straight for the mineral line. At the same time, another drop on the left-hand side. And Astrea, he can't keep up. The mineral line. 15, 18 probes go down. And on the other side, we're getting even more probe damage. The probes, they're so exposed. We get 19, 20 even. And this is just becoming game-ending damage as Clem targets down as many probes as he can just before he gets cleaned up. Astrea, he will hold. He will, in a way, force this back, but he lost 23 probes in the process. His economy in shambles. His upgrade timing, not where he wants it to be. And because his economy is still in the process of recovering, his army is lacking. We needed like a massive wave of zealots coming out with this. That's just not what we have. And behind this, Clem getting into his 3rd CC. He's chilling, expanding, taking his 3rd. Building up his army, and here we go. Clem is going for his push up in army supply. As he moves out, we do have a zealot run by, but it's only 2. It's all we can afford. Only 2 zealots. We run into widow mines. And Clem can focus on his push. Now, we still have a decent chunk of zealots here, so we're pretty heavily reliant on these widow mine shots. That's still a lot of mines. Minefield is insane. Astrea trying to go in for a surround. Ooh, big mine shots though. As we just load up, we just go straight for the main base, bypassing the main army. Forcing a recall. Clem, he's just going to stand and fight. He's going to take it here. We'll be losing everything though. Not too sure if this was the wisest of moves from Clem. Oof. We'll lose his Marines and Marauders and Medevacs. A pretty expensive loss for the Terran. But the widow mines are resetting. Oh god. As Astrea is going to be able to bait out those mine shots. Nice control here out of Astrea. Meanwhile, Clem is licking his wounds. Again, he was a little bit wasteful with the dive into the main. But Clem has the better economy, so he can sustain some of these losses. So we do bait out another one of those widow mine shots. There is no observer. There we go, observer now on the way. But yeah, these widow mines are going to reset. God, that's so many mines. I'm not used to seeing this many mines with an army. We have more widow mines than anything else. We have 16 widow mines and 13 marines. That's crazy. That's insane. So we go. The widow mines are going to be borrowing. Big connections on these zealots. Oof. Despite that, looks like Astrea is going to be able to force this back. Still taking a lot of mines to the face. We will force back the main army. At the same time, did have a bit of a zealot counterattack. Clem target firing as many stalkers as he can. Only 1 stalker survives. And mentioned it before, when it comes to this kind of play style here from Astrea, we need to build up that Stalker count over time. We can lose Zealots, sure, but we can't lose Stalkers. Again, we're only on 2 gases. We don't have any gases at the natural or the third. We can't afford to replace Stalkers. So the army composition of Astrea just getting worse over time. Clem is pushing. And just unrelenting, barely giving Astrea any time to breathe. Astrea, they're doing whatever he can to try to pull Clem back home. Just have Zealot set up here. Will that run by? And we're getting damage done. Clem is going to pull the boys. Does have to pull away, but we do have ghost reinforcements. Clem, though, I'm sure wanted to be a little bit more active, has to back off. He's got 2-2 on the way. Ghost production has commenced. Did gloss over that, but we do already have that Ghost Academy. With that, EMP is going to be king here, especially against like a mass Zealot army composition. Like EMPs, they just do so much here for the Terran. EMPs and Widow Mines. Here we go. Clem does make his way towards that natural. We do have a massive amount of Zealots. Oof. Mine shot's going to be going off. Again, we're still holding on to those EMPs. We still have them available. Astrea trying to catch... Oh no! Trying to catch reinforcements, but he catches mine shots to the face. Ugh. Will bleed out a lot. And you can see Clem just having his way with these Zealots. Just picking them apart. Clem, he has maxed out. Big EMP here on the sentries. Mine's just going to be going off, trying to force some friendly fire, but it looks like Astrea, he just cannot keep up. He's being overwhelmed. GG gets called, and Clem will take game number 1. GG. Again, the double racks Reaper opener didn't really achieve that much for Clem, but the follow-up 2-1-1, that's when Clem was able to pop off with his drop play. That's when he was able to pull Astrea apart left and right. If you recall, when it came to the multi-prong attack, the double push, the double medevac push from Clem, he killed, what, 23 plus probes? It was insane, the amount of economic damage he was able to deal, alongside trading with the Stalker army as well. Astrea just could not keep up. And now we're getting into game number 2. We are continuing this series here. Game 2 going to be on Oceanborn, a much smaller map. Much shorter rush distance here compared to Alcyone. And we'll see how our players approach this. As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the American Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing Macherino Esports. Again, he is the reigning regional champion of the Americas, but he's down in the series, looking to fight back. It is Astrea. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the French Terran representing Team Liquid, leading the series 1-0. It is Clem. And as we get into this, a big shout out to Thriving GG. Did give us a raid during that last game. I'm sorry for not giving you a shout out during the game itself, but we were kind of engrossed in the TvP. But yeah. Thank you so much. Hope you had a great ladder session. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great holiday as well, or happy holidays over the past couple of days and leading into the new year. Thank you. Big shout out to Thriving GG. He is a Zerg streamer, Zerg GM. Give him a lot of love, a lot of support. Thank you. As we're settling into game number 2. Here we go. This time, Astrea going for a much more standard probe scout. I mean, I say a standard probe scout. Remember, last game, Astrea skipped it entirely. He just skipped the probe scouts, went for the follow-up adept scout later on down the line instead. And yeah, he was in the dark as a result. He was trying to play reactively against the initial Reaper aggression. And he will confirm the economic opener. This time, single gas geyser into CC. Clem going for something a little more standard, a little more economic, and Astrea can rest easy. Like, huh? You can breathe a sigh of relief. Astrea will have a much more unmolested early game compared to game number 1. Gonna be able to get into this. Meanwhile, behind this, Clem going for the factory, not going for a 3 racks or anything like that. Not going for a 2-1-1 as we saw in the previous game. Reaper has arrived, and it's going to be on Clem here to just be as annoying as possible, and ooh, does bypass the Adept, by the way. Gets into the main base. There is no shield battery. We're looking for some probe kills so far. Good control out of Astrea. Does pull back. Does pull back those weakened probes. And will maintain his main without losing anything. And we have our tech of choice. It is going to be a Twilight Council opener. It's going to be Blink here from our Protoss. Now, I'll be honest, I don't think Astrea is going to go for the same playstyle 2 games in a row. Remember, last game was a very unique composition out of Astrea. He went double Forge, mass Swarm Toss, only 2 gas geysers going just mass Zealot, essentially. Stalker Zealot was the composition from Astrea. But I'm sure this time he's going to be going for something a little bit more normal, a little bit more orthodox. Oh! As Clem does get 1 probe in the natural. Not too bad. Oh my god. Just able to skirt the line here. Gets a 2nd probe just before going down. And did Clem see the tech? He did not. Doesn't have eyes on the Twilight Council. We have 2 gateways in the main. It looks like a 2-gate opener into a 3rd. Yeah, very economic. So 2-gate blink into a 3rd base from Astrea. Meanwhile, Clem still just trying to get some scouting information, and the Hellion is going for a dive, and will not get into the main base, but will scout the 3rd, and that is enough of a tell. Like, seeing a 3rd base this early on does tell Clem that, of course, things are a lot more economic, and he can get away with a little bit more. Ooh, as we are being very committed, we have a Widowmine drop follow-up with an armory, by the way. That's a bit crazy. Especially considering that we're not going for like a quadruple mine drop. There aren't like 4 Widow Mines like we saw from Cuckoo earlier today. It's only 2. Only 2 Widow Mines. Going straight for that natural. Stalkers are in position. Do force this back. So far, good positioning here from Astrea. Getting on top of the medevac. The medevac, it looks like it is going to be going down. Widow Mines, they do borrow the armory, is a couple of seconds away. Oh my god. We do take down a Stalker. Another Widow Mine shot going to be going off here on a probe. And detection is required. The armory does finish up in time. Observer is on the way. And as we mentioned before, I did assume that Astrea would go into something like a Robo follow-up, and there it is. Colossus production is soon to commence. So Blink Stalkers into Colossus, a lot more standard. None of this mass Zealot composition, not this time. Not yet. So a much more standard game here, much more economic game out of Astrea in game number 2. Clem behind this, getting into his 3-1-1 setup. The Widow Mine drop a little bit lackluster. It wasn't able to achieve as much as we would have liked, as Clem would have liked. See, I think he only had 2 gas last night. He did only have 2 gas. Again, it was just mass charge, essentially. But here we go. We do have the 3rd CC on the way for Clem. Observer is going to get eyes on the army and the move out as well. Do get eyes on the production. Big scout there from Clem. Does take down the Observer. Keen eyes. Colossus production has commenced. We should have 1 for the time. Oh, so we should have 1 in time for this push. Potentially 2. So you have some Raven harass dipping into the main base at the same time the main push is coming. Raven doesn't commit. Not yet. Remember, the armory is done, so in the midst of this push, in the midst of this attack, Clem is going for a mine drop as well. And Astrea, he does get eyes on this. Will pull away just in time. Oh! Only losing 2 probes. Good defense so far. Raven doesn't commit, and Clem is still just amassing his army. Still trying to find a way in, trying to find an angle of attack. Astrea now up to 2 Colossi. Yeah, and he's going to be able to shut this down. Marauders, they go for the dive! And they get 1! 1 Colossus will go down. Oh, Astrea caught in a really awkward position here. Yeah, stuck chasing the army. Mine shot's going to be going off. But Astrea will force this back. He maintains control of his economy. Did lose 1 Colossus, which is pretty huge. But outside of that, not looking too bad. Here we go. Astrea is pushing. Do we have a Prism? We do. War Prism is on the way, so we can reinforce. And what does Clem have at home to defend? Oh, forcing a cancel on the 3rd. Clem being a little bit too greedy there, taking a lot of Colossus shots to the face. Becoming overstimmed. His medevacs are being hunted down. Widowmines will meet up with the main army. Can we force some friendly fire? Good connections on the Zealots. Second Widowmine shot does not go off, and Clem is being hunted down. His army heavily overstimmed. Behind this, Autotart harass comes in. Raven getting some probe kills. 4 probes in total. Clem was able to buy some time, was able to build up his army. 3rd CC getting up and running. But Astrea, this time he has a comparable army. This time he has momentum on his side. That army still not healed up here. GG gets called. Astrea, he has far too much. And Clem will tap out. Astrea tying up the series 1-1. GG. Oh my god. That was a bit of a stressful game there from Astrea, but he was able to keep up with the aggression of Clem, was able to shut down the mine drops, was able to shut down the main pushes as well, and just chase down a big chunk, a big portion of Clem's army. And yeah, I just love that Astrea didn't rest on his laurels. Like, he noticed that he had a certain advantage, and he was very much so in the face of Clem. I feel like a lesser player, as they're building up their Colossus, would just stay at home, right? They would just stay at home, build up like up to 3 Colossi, you know, rebuild that Colossus count before pushing, which would have given it Clem enough time to set up the 3rd base and set up a better defensive army. But Astrea, again, really good killer instinct, did go for the push, and we have an ace match. We're going all the way to game number 3. Let's go. Let us go. Oh, Señor Colossi. Bienvenidos, papi. Bienvenidos. As we're settling into the ace match and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Solaris, we have the American Protoss. The red Protoss player representing Matcherino Esports, tying up the series 1-1. It is Astrea. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the French Terran, the red Terran player representing Team Liquid. It is Clem. Here we go. As my eyes are peeled for the kind of openers that our players want to go for. Remember, last game, Clem went for a much more economic opener on Oceanborn. I imagine the same here on Solaris. Wouldn't be surprised if Clem does go for a Rax Expand, but we'll keep our eye on the Terran. Likewise, Astrea did go for something more economic as well, going for a 2-gate Blink into a 3rd. Solaris is a bit of a larger map compared to Oceanborn, so going into these more economic and mid-game based openers would make a lot more sense here for our players. But we'll see. See if they are willing to embrace that. or if they head into a different direction. As we have the SCV scout moving out across the map. Probe getting eyes on, or just being a bit of a nuisance here, delaying the expansion for as long as we can. CC is thrown down. And Astrea is now aware of the more economic opener from Clem. Just like last game, Astrea, he can breathe easy. Get into his builds. I'm curious if we're going to be going into a Stargate again or into the Twilight Council. Which way will we take this? As the first Reaper has hit the field, you know, likewise as to the fact that I'm curious about the tech of choice, Clem is as well. He wants to try to figure out if it's going to be a Twilight Council, a Robo, or a Stargate. As we are setting up for our tech of choice here behind the mineral line, and it is going to be a Twilight Council from Astrea. It should be Blink. DT openers aren't unheard of in TvP. The Dark Shrine is definitely possible, but is very unlikely. It is a very niche build. The Reaper does take control of the low ground. Chipping away at those probes, looking for a probe kill if possible. So far, unable to find anything. Does outposition the Adept though. Does threaten that main base. Does get one probe. Not too bad. Gets behind the mineral line, gets a second probe, and gets a full scout of the main base. Gets eyes on that Twilight Council. A third probe as well. Oh, this is getting a bit much. Across the map, Astrea trying to reciprocate some of that damage. And it looks like he does disrupt the opener of his opponent at least, but doesn't get too much more than that. And we'll keep an eye on how many gateways get thrown down. With the second gate on the way. I'm imagining 2 gate into a third base, but we'll see. We'll see if Astrea does commit. As there we go, probe is being sent out to expand. Clem is already in position with the Hellion. And will delay the expansion. Gets a kill on the probe as well. Being so annoying here. The base is finally on the way. I can't imagine Clem is going to be investing into... I can't imagine he's going to be investing into that fast armory again 2 games in a row. But we'll see. As the mine drop is upon us. Again, this Widow Mine doesn't have to deal damage. Its main role is to scout. Is to try to get a read on the timing of the third, how many gateways there are, whether we invest into Colossus or not. So far, the mine drop is going to be pinned back. Meanwhile, Hallucination also goes in, making sure that there's no fast third. Astrea even gets eyes on another mine drop moving out. So pretty big scout here from Astrea. He's aware that Clem wants to be very active. I love that Clem boosted towards the north and he's going to be rotating towards the south instead. I'm loving the mind games here from Clem. Unfortunately for him, the army, or we do have some stalkers in position to try and deny this. Let's see if he can sneak in. Bay is on the way. Immortal soon to be Colossus production. Bearing in mind that Astrea did delay his Colossus production in favor of a faster third. Widow Mine drop going to be coming in. Ooh, solid blinks though. Oh my god. Able to avoid those Widow Mine shots, minimize damage, and does force this back. Likewise though, good control out of Clem. Does actually keep every single Widow Mine alive. We still have these 2 medevacs threatening dives, as Clem is getting his 3rd CC on location. A bit of a bold move, but Clem does have map control. Shuts down the observer. before moving out. As he moves out, Astrea moves in and we will delay the CC. Nice pick up here from our Protoss. Does delay the expansion. Colossus production well underway. Extend them on Lance. Getting into gateways. Drop is going to be coming. We do shut down the Widowmine. Sorry, the Metamac. Widowmines will borrow. 2 probe kills at the same time. A double drop into the main base. We do have another army here pushing towards the third. It's been a bit of a slower start here, but Clem, looking to ramp up the aggression, does go into the main, does force a recall. And even though the main double drop is going to be forced back, what about here towards the south? We do find a very exposed third base, and we can go straight for the mineral line. Oh my god, in the blink of an eye, that's going to be 11 dead workers. The probes as well, the shield battery, and this is becoming game-ending damage. Every single probe is going to go down. And in one fell swoop, in the blink of an eye, Clem, he just... oh my god, he just cripples the economy here of Astrea. 23 probe kills. Drop does threaten to go back in. And Clem is just reinforcing, is looking to go for the kill. Now, Astrea does have a pretty formidable army with these Colossi, that is true. But his economy is hurting. Another Colossus! No! Is exposed, and we won't be able to get it. Clem barely doesn't have enough to dive on it. Meanwhile, Widowmine drop comes in. Oh. Will be denied. And yeah, Astrea has to counterattack 100%. At this point, like, he has to commit. Pushing across the map. Mine shots, they get avoided. But Clem is getting ready for a surround. He's coming in from behind. The boys are being pulled. A 360 surround at that. And Astrea will be losing everything here. We'll get a couple of SCV kills, but this is not worth it. This is not enough here for Astrea. GG, well played gets called, and Clem will take the series 2-1. GG. GG, well played. Yo, once Clem gets the ball rolling, like, he cannot be stopped. We saw it against Lambo. Like, Clem, he had his way with Lambo earlier today. And likewise, a very similar story here against Astrea. I mean, Astrea did force the ace match. We'll say that. Did force a game 3. But still, regardless, Clem looking powerful here in this TvP. GG, well played. Well played to both of our players. As we do end up heading into our next matchup here. Sorry, just updating the scores. Catching up on everything that's been going on. And yeah, here we go. We're getting ready here for our next matchup. We're saying hello once again to our Zerg player here. Lambo has returned. It's going to be Lambo up against Shadown in a ZVP.